Hello YouTube! Welcome to the shop. It's been like 5 months since I posted a video. So it's been a while since I've seen you guys. I've gotten some new stuff for the shop. Mike, I got a new planer. I know you hated my last planer and so did I, so I got a new planer. It's a Foley bell saw as well, I'm sorry, but this one's brand new somewhat. Brand new, never used from the 70s. And I got it all up and running, put a new motor on it, and it's working like a champ. I got some other new machines, like a new Powermatic lathe for the shop that will need restored. It is 3-phase, and I've got some big plans for that to be putting in here. And also, I got a new speaker system for the shop. I got surround sound, I got surround sound with some major speakers. It plays really nicely. I need to get an external antenna for it, and that's the last thing for the speaker system. So here's my new planer. Like I said, it was a Foley bell saw. This is an older model than my last one. I completely wired this thing. I put a 5-horse Marathon motor on it. I have 10-3 wire with a 5-horsepower magnetic motor starter. It's a little cold. Runs very nicely. The man I bought this off of never used it. He didn't have the time to put a motor on it, and he sold it on Craigslist. I bought it, and here it sits today. So here's under the hood of this thing. You have your gear drive. Here's your cutter head and your feed rollers. The reason I sold my last one is I had feed roller problems and I shot a knife out of it. And I was getting a little frustrated with it, so I sold it. Bought this one. I have not run any molding with it. I don't know if I will. We'll see. The molding knives I have are not good. Solid cast iron frame, steel cutter head. If these rollers do wear out, I am friends with some people I'm friends with a couple machinists, and I'm going to have them make me steel rollers. Grooved steel rollers, so it'll feed it without worrying about rubber going out. One unique thing about this saw, or this planer, is that this also came with a rip saw that would run off the same motor, and it would rip your molding as it's being sent through the machine. So this is my stereo I got for the shop. I have 4 speakers. This is just one of them in the corner. All 4 connected to this one unit that will play. It's going to sound a little staticky because of the commercial lights I have in here. The commercial lights create and mess with the frequencies in this. Gotta wait for the tubes to warm up inside, or however this thing has to warm up before it functions properly. But unfortunately now with the lights it's fairly staticky. It's a very nice system. I really like using it. Bring something else to keep your mind off of or entertain you while you're thinking or pondering or standing. So a while back I got a new table saw. I do have numerous videos about it. And this is my old table saw. I still have it. And I've made a fence for it. This is a homemade wooden fence. Biesmeyer style. So here's the fence itself. Built almost identical to a Biesmeyer. The fence itself is ash, but the rails are oak. Very solid. Doesn't move, and it's actually surprisingly accurate. There's my dust collector. I have not gotten it running yet. I'm going to put a gas motor on it. Probably a 5-horsepower Briggs. And I'll probably gear it up a little bit so I'm not running full bore on the dust collector. On the motor, the impeller will be running full bore though. Here is my shaper. I have not done much with it other than sand the top to it. It is 3-phase, and I'll be putting a variable frequency drive on it to run it. either variable frequency. It'll be dependent on what I plan on using this. This is actually going to be going in the outfeed table of the workshop. And the outfeed table will be cut up, and this will be in place of that. So this will be an outfeed table for the table saw, and the table saw will be an infeed table for this. I mentioned earlier in the video that I got a new lathe. This is a Powermatic 90. It does appear gray in the picture, but it's actually been repainted gray. It is the original color was green. I believe it's 1950s, judging by the housing where my shadow of my finger is. I believe it's 1950s. I have big plans for this. I would like to, again where my shadow is, I would like to raise the headstock, raise the tailstock, raise the tool rest, and turn this from a 12-inch bowl turning lathe into like a 20 or 24-inch bowl turning lathe. That is the cabinet there. It's steel, it's heavy, and it's awkward. Raising the headstock, tailstock, and tool rest will mean that the lathe now sits higher, and having a lathe that sits higher is no longer at a good working height, so I might be cutting the cabinet in half, taking 6 inches out and welding it all back together, and essentially creating a Powermatic Model 91 lathe. This is a 90, but if you search on Google, there is a Powermatic 91. It was made when Powermatic was gold, and essentially that's all it did was raise the headstock and tailstock and tool rest to that size. The tool rest I'll probably be getting from One Way. So the lathe itself came from an aerial Votech school, a local Votech, and I only paid about $350 for it. The owner bought it off the school, and I bought it off the owner. So there were all kinds of things that came with the lathe itself, between live centers, drive centers, tool rest, extra banjos. That's the motor. This is a 1 horsepower 3-phase motor, and it weighs like 60 pounds for that small of a motor. Up top up here I have by my shadow again, I have that's a 24-inch tool rest for doing spindle work. So in the midst of other things I have here, I have a whole bunch of face plates, chucks, extensions for the banjos off to the side here. This is the cover that came with it. Fairly cheap for what I paid for it. I do plan on doing a restoration of that and completely restoring it, putting in a 3 horsepower motor, and really having a nice wood turning lathe. Well, that's what I've been up to. I've gotten a lot of new stuff for the shop. I haven't posted in a while, so I figured I'd do an updates video for everybody that was interested. I will hopefully be doing a restoration set of a series on the shaper and another series on the lathe. I have big plans for both of those, and they'll be sitting in the shop sometime. I don't know what I'm going to do with my old lathe. It's been a good lathe. I've enjoyed a lot of turnings on it, but as all good things must come to an end, and other greater things will happen after that. So the Powermatic will be sitting in here, all 400, 500 pounds of it, with a whole bunch of new accessories. I'm planning on buying some pen turning stuff. I'd like to buy a bigger chuck than what I have now. My chuck will fit, I do believe, and maybe either a Hurricane or a Vigmark, but I've been very happy with that lathe. I have used the one. I have used other ones similar, but it's a very nice lathe. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much for all my talking. I want to thank you guys for watching the video, and thank you for supporting my channel. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. 250,000 views on all my videos combined. I've been very impressed with that, and I know there are larger YouTube channels, but for someone like me, that's very impressive. I'm going to ask you to please subscribe and leave a comment down below of what you thought. We'll see you next time.